Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming to another video. All right, so I'm got a therapy session to do. I don't know, chilling. I've been doing therapy sessions for the last 24 hours. Been a lot of them. I want to send love to everybody who's been dealing with the shootings out there, man. California and various places all over the U.S. It's been a plethora of those, and we've talked about them a lot. So I don't think I want to start any video without just sending energy of positivity toward everybody who's dealing with anything, man. When I make my therapy sessions to complain about my little problems or complain about whatever it is I don't like, there's real stuff going on that requires some consideration, some positivity and prayer and all of that. And so that's how I want to start it. Just, asking for the world to please be kinder to itself, man. That's really it. So my therapy session this particular time ain't gonna be that deep. It ain't. This is me complaining about something because I don't like certain things. But I didn't want to start the video off just doing that. Not at all. So this is me segueing out of the positive stuff into something I'm just going to complain about. So I really have a problem with not keeping schedule. I got a real problem with that. Even sometimes when things benefit me. And that's not necessarily, when I say keeping schedule, meaning I can't keep a schedule. No, that's not what I'm saying. I have a problem with other people don't keep their schedule. If you tell me something's going to be done on a Thursday and then you come around and tell me it's going to be done on a Tuesday, I got a problem with that. Even if it benefits me. And that's a flaw of my very own. I'm not going to sit up here and say that's a good trait, but it is the truth. Right now, I just got a text telling me they're going to bring the stove in between 11 and 1 o'clock today. The schedule had it so that this is going to be done on the 26th. Today is the 24th. People coming in and out of my house. Y'all know how my mental health is. I don't want to see nobody ever, literally. I live my life alone, and I'm happy about it. So when I got to open my door to anybody or go outside for anything, I got to be prepared for that mentally in this era of my life. It's just a fact. This is where we are. And I ain't prepared for none of that today. I am sitting in my house relaxing. I ain't shaved my head in 5 days. My head looked like crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little stuff like that I feel I have to adjust to make my place more comfortable. It's like 9 o'clock. I got to be ready for these guys to come in within an hour. That means I got to clear out the kitchen, got to get all showered, get all up, eat, all this shit. And I'm telling you, these are the type of things that just irritate me to no end, is because I am this way. I don't like amending nothing I do. And a lot of times when you're dealing with outside situations that are not within your control, you got to adjust. And that's an area of weakness of mine right now. Excuse me. It's a real area of weakness of mine. I don't have any happiness coming my way, even though what it is that needs to be replaced now. That's the part that I think is therapy session worthy. It's like they're going to be reinstalling a stove that I really need. Now, I told them the stove was broke like 3 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely time. I should be happy it's getting done sooner than later, but it's just like, man, I got 2 hours to make myself and my place either presentable or just say F it and let people come in or whatever. And for the way my head is set up, that angers me. It really angers me. I'm not pleased at all right now. Not even slightly, for these circumstances. And instead of getting up, doing all the stuff that needs to be done, I feel like throwing on therapy session and just telling y'all about it. So this is why I tell myself a self-proclaimed mental health person or somebody who has mental health issues. This is why I say that. This is because it's little stuff like this. Yeah, I can get in this camera and talk to you guys about all this and that, about stuff that makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, the way I perceive the world, I just want to stay away from it, man. I always feel like I'm a step away from not having my bearings about me because of the energy of the world around me. I find the only real happiness and peace I have is in isolation with my own thoughts in the Lord, man. And when I retreated into this space, I was in a very negative mindset. I was almost in a space where I didn't want to live anymore. When I was working and doing all this stuff, if you were following me, I did videos throughout those therapy sessions, probably in the 60s and 70s, probably around that era, something like that, 50s. But, it's one of those things where it's like, if you go back and watch, you see how all this built up to where now I'm like, I got to find a way to not be like this. And I ain't nowhere near mentally there, with the stuff that I'm dealing with, this apartment and everything that has to happen over the next couple months. I'm nowhere near mentally in a position to address it in a positive or a constructive way. I'm hiding from those responsibilities. I'm hiding from all of that. I'm hiding from the world because I really honestly am concerned that I'm going to go back into a negative space, and I've done a great deal of building that resistance away from all of that here. Over the last year and a half, I've built a system that doesn't require me to keep up with any schedule, and I'm productive, as you guys know, with all the different stuff that I'm doing. And I'm at peace because I'm praying 3 and 4 times a day. I'm working out and I'm eating the way I want to eat. And ain't nobody in here pushing on my energy in any way. Ain't nobody in here to question or make anything different. There's no perception of being judged, no perception of being schemed against, nothing to protect against. I ain't got to watch to see if somebody's doing something, nothing. I've created an environment. It ain't sustainable, but I've created an environment that's meant for me. And when it's disrupted, it's really stressful. And that's a weakness I do not desire to keep. So that's something I want to let people know. If you struggle with isolation, or if you have something similar, or if you really are antisocial to a very negative space for yourself, just know that you ain't alone, because I'm definitely like that. And I have a personality that allows myself to look as if I'm social. I work a room very well if I really want to. You won't really know this is a thing if I want it not to be. But the reality is, on the inside, I'm really struggling with this, and the anticipation of having to walk into those spaces are very difficult, or let those spaces come to me, not easy, for whatever reason, even with the faith. And that's why I look at it as a mental health thing, because my faith doesn't necessarily coerce me out of it. My belief in God and the truth that I have about him and all these different things that align with reality doesn't allow me to walk into those spaces and perceive wanting to be in those spaces just the same. But all that I can say and pray and come to terms with and make right, for whatever reason, this part of my brain is not yet where I want it to be, so I can walk into these spaces and not have these thoughts. Not there yet. So I wanted to come to you guys and let you know that, man. I'm not necessarily complaining about the change in the schedule per se. It's just a reaction to my understanding that it would be something I would complain about otherwise. You know, it's like this is something that pisses me off, but I know it shouldn't. It's just a byproduct of my sickness. And so I don't know where this goes from here, man. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I would love to stay in this space, but it's just not sustainable, as I've been telling you guys for a long time. But it wasn't sustainable at all, and it's still going. So even this is a miracle in and of itself. But, you know, I'm grateful that they want to replace my stove. They don't have to necessarily. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm mad, but it's just like, and we're working on other people's schedules. You know what I mean? It's not like she said, hey, come early. Ain't none of that going on. It's just, it is what it is. Whatever they got going on behind the scenes, they scooted up the time. And so I don't know if I should perceive that any kind of way. You know, my ego may, but I don't give that much credence at all. So it is what it is, man. I'm thankful that I'm going to be able to cook my food regularly now, because I've been cooking everything on a stovetop, which has actually made it taste okay, but a little too much foil, man. And I may have already told you guys this, but this actually worked for me, man. I use a regular skillet, but instead of putting oil in the food, because I don't eat oil no more, I don't allow myself to cook with grease anymore. I just put the rice in foil and put it on the stovetop, and then just turn the fire on and let the heat of the metal fire up and warm the food, rather than any type of oil. And what it ends up tasting like is like the barbecue, you know, or charcoal when you cook when you cook ribs or something like that. It'll have that taste, because you're going to taste the same type of thing. You cooking it on foil, so it's going to have that foil taste. So sometimes if you let it burn too much, it'll make your food unedible. Like, you can't eat that. And when you're you know, if you try to do rice like I do, I put rice the same way and chicken the same way. I do the rice first because it takes longer to cook. But a lot of times the rice will stick to the foil and end up taking away half of your food. Like, half of this rice doesn't even get to be eaten because it's burnt to the side of the foil. But smaller portions, the chicken actually tastes better, you know, in this situation. I might actually keep the chicken. It cooks faster too. So the little things that you pick up along the way when you're in this position to where you're like me and don't want to do nothing different, but you still have to adjust. You will force yourself into doing that instead of simply whatever else. And that's not really true, because I did tell them, and I just had to cope with it until they were ready to bring the oven here. But a lot of times, because I don't want to deal with nobody, I will go a long time without telling them stuff needs to be fixed. You know what I mean? It's just my mental health, man. I just don't be wanting to really adjust my comfort zone at all. It's not even that I don't want to deal with other people's personalities. That's not even it. It's that I don't want to adjust to having to open up to other personalities for any reason at any time, basically ever now. Basically ever. And that's what trauma's done to me, man. That's what trauma and having things happen to me early in life did to me. It gave me a synopsis that made me respect being alone and trust myself more than I trust any of y'all. I want to do for everybody, but I don't trust the demons within y'all, because I know what type of demons I have. So yours is either better or worse than mine, but nevertheless, you may harbor them. I am not one of those people that just because I have a shortcoming or just because I've been struggling with certain things to assume that other people must struggle with the same things or something. I don't know. I don't want to perceive everybody has the same thing going on or everybody has demons, so to speak. But I think in the life that I've been in, I don't know of a person who hasn't struggled with stuff like that. So I just assume most do, and I don't want to deal with none of y'all demons. I don't want to deal with my own. Mine don't want to deal with y'all's. I guess that's how I look at it. Because if this was a good energy, it wouldn't be pushing people away. It wouldn't be in isolation, I'd imagine. It probably is a demon in and of itself. But nevertheless, I find myself productive in this space, as you guys know, doing things that I never would have been able to do if I didn't find myself with this isolation and this type of brain. And then as I listen to myself speak and as I realize how I perceive things, I realize the reason why I can't function out there is because I do have things in my head that most people don't about energy and how things can go. I think a way that most just don't operate in as it pertains to what it is I see. And when I speak, I realize I'm saying stuff that 9 out of 10 people ain't saying. So when I take this brain outside, I'm dealing with stuff that 9 out of people probably ain't dealing with. And that's what I've come to understand in these last year and a half. Is I understand myself. To listen to myself talk in these therapy sessions, was this 232? I've learned that this brain ain't like y'all. It don't want to do the stuff that y'all have to do. That's the problem. The things that we have to do, like make money and snake each other over, basically, because that's all it really is out there in capitalism world. I don't have any desire to contribute to it. As I told you guys, I hate the whole thing. I hate the whole system. The whole system is just something that doesn't come off as something that God would like at all. It's just something that we do because we're sinful. This is why he says, man is a sinful person, because it's not that you come out of the womb sinful. It's just you come into a world where norms require you to be sinful. Like the operation itself is sinful. But the whole barter system, so to speak, the whole way we trade is sinful. So when I try to coerce myself away from that type of sin, I realize there's no way to do so. But standing still and just living without, that's the only way you can actually, and then only to a point. Only to a point, unless the world changes around you. You got to go to jail for not paying your taxes. You got to, all this type of stuff is just going to come back around and bite everybody who doesn't focus on it. I see that they throw people in jail for 25 years like they did killed 7, 8 people because they didn't pay taxes for 5 years or something. It's just priorities, shot. Norms, not normal. And so as I perceive the world the way I do, I just want to stay as hell far away from y'all as possible. Work on myself, tell y'all my truth, and hope the world changes before I leave the house again. It's God's honest truth. I want to change the world so that when I go back outside, it ain't the same place it was when I was retreated into it. I know that that's hell of ambitious. I know that that's not real. But at the same time, I don't know that it ain't real just the same, because I know of a God that can do a million things at once. And as I position myself to speak to who I speak to, whoever this is on the other side of the camera, I just allow for the understanding that no one is going to do what it is I'm doing, because no one's going to be in the position I'm in. Not a single soul. And so that's what I allow the Lord to let me be. Just allow me to be myself. Let me continue to build what it is I'm building on this channel. Ask for a bunch of prayer to help me adjust with days like this when things are not necessarily going to fall into the schedule that I appreciate. And try to let my faith allow me to see the positivity in the areas of that for which I cannot see when I turn on this camera right now. I'll be happy when I have my new stove. I'll probably meet somebody that'll make the day a little better. It's time for me to shave my head. I look absolutely insane with it looking like this. But the reality is, because of how I've been operating this week, I ain't wanted to do none of those things. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, when I know my mind is doing the negative aspect of things, I know my mind is telling me you don't want to do something that is good for you, or that you don't want someone to bring something to you that you need. It's important that I get on this camera and fight that energy by providing myself an understanding of what it is that I'm feeling through this camera and letting somebody else see what it is that I'm doing. And I hope when the rubber meets the road, all of this evidence that I've left on this camera will help me with my circumstance. So when I tell them people I got mental health issues, they will have the evidence necessary to see all that they need to see to have the proof that they'll need, rather than me just walking in there saying, yo, I'm sick and I'm troubled and this is why I haven't done this, that, and the third. You see it on this channel. Y'all all see it. Y'all seen it every day how I struggle. You see every day how I perceive the world. You see every day how I struggle with my mental health and how I've talked about my trauma that I've never understood, never knew nothing to do with this trauma because the people around me didn't know what the hell to do with this trauma. So I grew up a person who didn't know how to fix himself, so I had to learn to do it this way. It's the only way I could have survived, y'all. It's the only way. Because if I had kept going back and forth to Santa Monica, eventually I would have killed myself in that car. That's what I'm trying to tell people. And I tried in a way without actually doing it. There were times where I really didn't care what happened to me, and that was horrible because that affects other people's lives. That's the type of evil intent that happens when people do all kinds of snapping stuff that makes them snap. No, I could not allow myself in the consciousness that I have to stay in that space, continue engaging in that bad energy that I'm forced to engage in the Western world, and then proceed to let it deteriorate my life and ultimately cap my potential. You know, I think about individuals. I think about this one guy. I don't even remember what his name was. He probably passed away about 8 years ago. About 7 years ago or something. But homie literally went on live and just proceeded to tell everybody he was leaving and proceeded to do so. Like I think he jumped off a bridge or something with his phone in his hand or something like that. And I just think about what world coerced him to feel like that. And it's like, you know, it was the world I was in. That was how I was feeling at times before I left this job that I had, before I was, you know, able to retreat into this space and find art. That's kind of where I was, man. Not that I wanted to die necessarily, like I was going to take it all away, but that it was nothing else to do but leave. It was all I felt. I was like, I don't want to do any of this. My mind ain't allowing me to do stuff even I need to do. So let me just get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? And so it was either that, or for me and how I perceived it, this. I need to not be around none of y'all. I need to find who I am, and I need to be productive within it. I need to create as much as humanly possible and then share what it is in my innermost and let it do what it is going to do. This is what I needed to do. You know what I mean? This is what my spirit would allow me to do other than just self-destruct. You see what I'm trying to say? It was either this or continuing down that path and letting it coerce me into something that would hurt myself. That's all I perceived it. And what I'm worried about is that if I start going back out there into that space, I'm going to go right back to that mindset. I don't like that stuff no more now than I did back then. In fact, I like it less. I like me more, but I like the world less. That pertains to the way y'all operate and the way I'd have to operate in your presence in order to assimilate with you. I don't want to do it. I know God don't like me when I'm like that. I know that. When I'm money hungry, I am no good to anybody. When I'm selfish and looking to get things done for myself, do you know what I actually end up accomplishing? Self-destruction. And that's the crazy thing about it. My ambition doesn't allow me to build. My ambition allows me to hide and tear what would otherwise be built down. That's what my natural inclination is. Sit down, do nothing. Sit down, play video games. NBA 2K, 7 hours, 8 hours, hide in the game. That's what my natural inclination is. If I had a PS4 right now, PS5 rather, right now, and I didn't have none of this going on, I'd be in front of the TV. That's all I'd be doing. Submerging myself in the art of the NBA. And I'm telling you, I'd waste my whole life away. And so it's one of the things where it's like, I just understand that I was wired that way, still am to a degree. The unhappiness that I felt was organic based on a lot of stuff that I had already, that I experienced in this life. And now I'm in a space where I don't desire to go back out into it. I don't want it to come to me. I don't want nothing but to change it. I want to use my voice to help y'all see what it is y'all need to see from within my skull. The middleman that's continuing to be an antagonist, that evil entity that's out there trying to war with God, than the evil that it is kindred within all of us, unfortunately. Within our indifference, within our anger, within our inability to coerce ourselves away from revenge, within our inability to coerce ourselves away from lust and other types of sins. It's because we don't care to care. It's because we want to be the main character. It's because we want to do our own thing all the time. Everybody wants to step on everybody else. So much cruelty that I don't know where the extreme of it all should cap, I guess is what I'm saying. Where should the limit of the possibilities of that end within my creative skull? When I can fathom things that I know are unprecedented. That's the problem with me. I'm the guy that's worried about the stuff that hasn't happened before. And so I don't want to speak life into those things because I think that defeats the purpose. When you tell people like such as, nah, I'm not giving that stuff any light. But what I'm telling you is I'm always prepared mentally for the trauma that comes with those type of events. Because I've faced extreme trauma early, very, very early in life. And what it did to my brain, this particular brain, made it so that I never want to be involved in any of the stuff that's normal out here as it pertains to engaging in stuff, even if it makes the most sense for myself. Just can't bring myself to do it. And I asked the Lord last night, like, why don't you want me to go to work? Like, I know why I don't want to go to work, but why did you wire me this way? Knowing that I could not sustain a happy life this way. And then what came to me is like, well, why do you think I gave that person so-and-so sickness? Why do you think that person's completely out of their mind? Why do you think? You don't have no answers for that, Brandon. That's not what I'm giving you now. That's what came to me in prayer. I'm not going to tell you why you are the way you are. No different. I'm not going to tell you why that next person snapped and shot up 30 people. I'm not going to tell you. But what I am going to tell you is I love you. And I put you in this position for a reason. And if you stick with me, I'll get you out of it. That's all that comes to me when I ask him why am I like this? Why can't I simply just open my door and let these people come in without some static within myself, some uncomfortability for something that needs to be done, should have been done. And if I could handle other things that way, I could probably build all kinds of stuff. I could probably put myself in all kinds of positions. I could have every contract. You know what I'm saying? If I played the role like I'm supposed to play it, go get myself some psychological help, assimilate with the rest of the world, fall in line with all the different agendas and stuff that just makes me acceptable in 2023. Believe you me, man, I'd be a shining light for the people behind the curtain. They would love me. I'm telling you, I could play that game better than most of the subordinates. I know that game. I know what they need. I just don't love it. I don't like it. I know it doesn't coerce us into anything but more selfishness, more hatred, less love for God, and less love for self. That's all it does. Every angle, from what I see. So it's just like, man, until the world gets better or until I get out of here, it's just going to be this way. I don't see it changing unless people take, a different approach, man, which is what I'm trying to present every time I open my mouth. And the pessimism or whether or not people will do it or not, I'm not in control of that. I could either believe they'll do it or not. You know what I mean? The world has taught me to believe that pessimism is the only way. You can't change the world. Nobody can change the world. I'm like, man, whatever, bro. Just because you don't believe you can do something does not mean I'm going to sit up here and look at what I can do and not try. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about that. So it's like, what's the use? What's the point? You better get yours. When the world changes and everybody's gotten theirs, when the Lord decides that he didn't like how y'all moved and he takes everything from you because of how y'all was moving, he only going to look at a few people who didn't want to move that way. It's only going to be a few of us. Everybody doesn't want to reinvent the wheel. Nobody wants to say, yo, this stuff is evil, man. All of it. We're engaging in indifference. Every time we do something, anything damn near, we're engaging in something that allows for some to get what they need and others to never get what they need. That's why I don't do no cash apps and all that stuff. I know I'm supposed to do that. I was listening to somebody talk about change a few days ago on Instagram. Is always look around. Someone said, I don't know of any change that doesn't come without funding. You gotta engage in some type of business in order to fund any movement. I'm like, that is an actual fact. That's an actual fact. You gotta be corrupt in some way in order to fund your good move. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's got to come from some bloody money. Got to touch what it is you're doing somewhere, because every money is circulating on all different circumstances. All money ain't good money. That's what I'm here to tell you. Every money's bad money. That's what I've come to believe. No such thing as good money. It's all circulating the same way. So it's like, am I not supposed to want money? Am I supposed to live in poverty forever? First shall be last. Am I supposed to live that way in order to get myself to heaven? Is that a real thing? The rich man can't get through the eye of a pin needle? For real? Because it seems like a poor man can't get through the eye of anything. He got even less room to move. But as far as I can tell, my eternal soul is much more than anything going on between the years of my life. My eternal soul is supposed to exist for all time if he allows it to. And I'm supposed to mortgage that for what? A lifetime? What's that? The most? 100 years at the most? Man, get the hell out of here. That's bad math. That's bad math. It's been bad math. So that's how I look at it. I'm like, man, I know I got demons. I done told y'all I got demons. These are the demons here. But what I'm also telling you is that in my right mind, when I pray about it, I don't know that I get much different than what the demons is telling me. This stuff is bad, man. You probably best off by yourself in a space that you create for yourself, being creative and expressing yourself as best you can. And as the world closes in on you, just know there's an expiration date on it. It's the only way I know how to live without coercing myself into absolute and utter madness. And dare I say evil? Because every other way I see, it starts the butterfly effect of indifference or evil or continued keeping up of the capitalistic system that leaves some in squalors and others to be successful at a wild rate. I look in the Congo. I can't shake what I know about what's going on. They continue to take all of this special stuff that they find in them rocks, everything they find, they just snatch it up, take it, leave the people in squalor. I'm like, man, you want me to work into a system that pays into that? You want me to pay into a tax system that pillages the Congo? You want me to pay into a corporate system that exploits people in hard circumstances? Because that's just the way the world works. You're telling me that in order for me to not contribute to that at all, I have to sit still and starve to death. That's how I get to keep my soul in 2023. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.